there might be gajillionaires, but they're not true entrepreneurs in the sense of the word, you know.
Yeah. So let's talk about that Guardian era a little bit, because you know, you were 26 when you started it.
Yeah.
I think I came along and saw it when you were 2 years in.
Yeah.
And so you said, like, yeah, that was there was like an iceberg underneath like that success story. So I think that was basically like you having started doing entrepreneurship at the age of like 14. So like, you know, I was 12 years in. So like, you know, what were the, like, why was that your breakthrough moment? Like, you know, what was it that kind of clicked into place and
so it was the right business, the right time. So just for the sake of everybody on the call, so we bought scrap gold from people. We started it going to town. I started going to town halls, putting an advert out there. Actually, my brother's dental practice in Malvern was the first one. Putting adverts out there, people who'd come in, bring their old gold. At the time, gold was flying up in value. Styles were changing, so people no longer wanted yellow gold so much. You know, now it's very much more of an Indian and Chinese thing, whereas 50 years ago it was very much a Western thing. You know, you had 18-karat white yellow gold, and it's now changed to silver, platinum, white gold. Styles changed. And people needed money at the time as well. There's a financial crisis. But all of those things transpired. I just gave it a crack once, and then those things transpired. And we were also so for 6 months, we did okay with it. I made some money, but then I've still got these diaries. So I've had every diary since 2002, and I've still got them. Unbelievable, I've never lost them, even though I lose my credit cards and my keys all the time. And so I'd had a business 5 years earlier, 5 years earlier when I was 21, and I was working on a stand in shopping centres selling kids CDs with my best mate's cousin. And it didn't do very well. It broke even, but I was standing in Merry Hill shopping centre for days on end. But I wrote down in my diary, if I can ever find a product or a service, I can roll it out very quickly with an RMU. And RMU's retail merchandising unit, because your capital expenditure to set that up is like £800. Whereas if you're doing it with shops, it would cost you 40, 50 grand a fit out at the time. And I was a few months into the gold, and I was looking back through my diaries, and I was like, oh, why don't I try an RMU? Because a lot of the kids on this call will think, oh, I learned something and I'll remember it. Well, I don't. If you guys do, wonderful. But you don't see the wood through the trees. You know, you're focused on one thing. And I always find that the obvious things sometimes stare me in the face, but you can't retain all that information. It's like when these kids do their GCSEs, if they're anything like I am, if I did my GCSEs 3 weeks after my GCSEs and hadn't re-revised, my results would have been drastically lower. Maybe not with you and Ash, because you're Oxbridge guys, but you know, my ability to retain information is really poor. And so it's really important that I write stuff down. And that's the other thing I'd say, writing stuff down, whether it's, you know, nowadays you can have these electric notebooks, or I choose an old school pad, because visually that helps me remember stuff. So anyway, I saw that in the diary and I was like, oh, I'll try that. So here's where my geography at King Edward's came in. I was like, where's the best place to start? So I knew from geography at Kes that Telford was a new town. Therefore, new towns don't have city centres, right? Which means their shopping centres are basically their town centres. Milton Keynes, Telford are two examples. So I was like, okay, so there was a bit of academic thought behind that. We started in Telford and then we grew rapidly. Now, 4 months down the line, we'd made a few £100,000. And then my friend from America came and said, oh, how many stands have you got? And I went, oh, I've got 16. I employed a lot of people from Kes, and I went on Facebook and got loads more staff. And he's like, why haven't you got 216? And I went, well, I'm doing it, but I'm doing 4 a month. I'm not sure I can open it anymore. He's like, go and open as many as you can. And then we went and opened as many as we can. And so it was timing, good fortune, you know, all of those things. but I'm a firm believer in the cleverer and harder you work, the luckier you seem to get.
Yeah, that's amazing. I remember like the 6 months I was there, or 8 months I was there, I think we opened 150 more.
Yeah.
And you'd already had a decent amount. And so, yeah, and you weren't in many shops. It was mostly the shopping centers. And I think you were probably the first of these kind of cash for gold businesses that was doing shopping centers, right?
We were the first in RMUs, yeah. And when you went in, they never let anybody else in. So it was a bit of a land grab.